heal our Annie.
It's a miracle.
Faith endures. Hearts heal.
When medicine stopped, God kept working. A family's prayer became Annie's miracle.
Annie's Miracle, in theaters now.
Sometimes in the midst of political chaos and national turmoil, God reminds us that he's still in control. Well, my family just experienced something doctors are calling medically impossible. My Aunt Annie suffered a stroke this fall. Doctors found a blood clot on her heart valve the size of a fingertip. Open heart surgery was the only option. The surgeon, with tears in his eyes, warned my Uncle Leo and her that she probably wouldn't survive. But what happened next left a 30-year veteran surgeon speechless. An entire hospital talking about the power of prayer. This is not just a medical story. It's proof that miracles still happen in America. So you need to hear this. And as we wrap up 2025, it is a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing that we've all learned, it's that uncertainty isn't temporary. It's the world that we live in now. Waiting for things to go back to normal isn't a plan, it's a gamble. And for decades, my friends over at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Now, look, nobody knows what 2026 will bring, but one thing is for sure. In an uncertain world, real wealth isn't digital, it's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. Now, before the year ends, take one smart step towards a safer future and visit nextnewsgold.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. Or call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347, and ask how you can get 10 one-ounce silver holiday coins with qualified accounts. Now, over the weekend, my aunt and uncle stood before their congregation and shared the testimony of my Aunt Annie's healing. An absolute beautiful story that you need to hear. We're going to play you what happened, and I'll share with you some of the insights on the other side. Brian, roll it.
This morning we have an opportunity just to hear a testimony of how God that's been so personal and someone that goes to this church's life, and how God has impacted her and her family. And so I'm just going to invite Annie and her brother Leo to come on up here, and let's just give it up for them as they come and share their story with us. You guys can sit down for a few minutes.
All right. Okay, here we go. It's all about him, not about me. What he did for me, I will just never forget. And I just want to praise him, give him all the glory for everything he's done in my life. But it wasn't for just me, it was for many others. And I'm sure we'll know someday for who all those people were. But anyhow, I guess we start off with the testimony. Here we go. September 20th on a Saturday night. I woke up during the night. I hadn't felt good for the couple days before that, but Saturday night I woke up and got up probably 2 in the morning, whatever, and I was in the kitchen and everything started spinning on me and I went down. I mean, it was a hard fall. Thank God I didn't break anything. Thank God I was able to get myself back up, but then again, went back to bed. I've had vertigo before, so I thought maybe that's what it was. So got up again, fell into the wall, went back to bed at some point, and the next morning I woke up and had double vision. I mean, severe double vision. I couldn't.
At that point, Ann told us she was sick, so we went over to see her, and I did that, the classic check for stroke. I checked her face if it was drooping and squeezed her hands and didn't, you think you're supposed to. But what I missed was, and this is really important if you ever you find yourself in the situation, she had double vision, and it was double vision would have told us. And the wobbliness that she had was all signs of a stroke, but I missed that part of it. I was looking for a facial droop or some paralysis. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. So Leo took me to Condell Hospital in Libertyville, number 1 trauma center. I feel good there. They checked me out. I thought, I'd go home that day, but I didn't. They checked me in, and there I was for the next 17 days. and in bed, couldn't move, didn't want me to do anything.
They were going to send her home after about 5 days because they couldn't find the source of the blood, the stroke, and they were going to send her home on blood thinners and call it a day. I told them, don't do that. I said, stay with her and find the source of those blood clots. And they did. And they found a blood clot on her mitral valve after putting an ultrasonic esophageal ultrasound through her esophagus. They found a blood clot on the backside of her heart that the MRI missed, and it was as big as the tip of your pinky finger, attached to her mitral valve. Very, very dangerous.
Well, we didn't know that at the time how dangerous it was. You know, I figured, you know, we were dealing with 3 departments, neurology, cardiology, and this surgical team. And they weren't seeing eye to eye, but anyhow, we finally came to a date where we were going to do surgery. And I had a peace. I figured me and God are going to get through this somehow. Hard recovery, but still I'd get through it. And so at that point, the surgeon comes in. I'm in a holding room before the surgery, and the surgeon comes in to talk to us. And that's where the reality of what was going on hit.
At that point, your prayers,
Everyone's
we could feel your prayers that were coming from here. Even the Bikers for Christ showed up and filled her whole room up. Now the Moped for Christ people, they all ran out of gas in Grace Lake. but we'll forgive them for that. But so the doctor came into the
it's a holding area before surgery. I hadn't even been prepped yet or anything, so he came in and he looked so distressed. I mean, tears in his eyes.
Tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
The surgeon.
Yeah, he said it was really, really bad, and I probably would not either not come out of it or
or end up with a major stroke on the
even more so
during the surgery. And he
didn't want to do
eyes
it.
were welling up with tears. He was really scared, and that really hit us.
Yeah, then I knew it was bad.
So
at that point, I looked at him and I said, you know what, there's a lot of people praying for you. And I said, this thing here, this body, it belongs to God. So whatever happens, happens. If I live, I live. If I die, I die. And I had a peace. I wasn't scared at that point.
You weren't.
Yeah, I know.
We were. We were frightened. So they wheeled Ann off into surgery, and Hilda and I go into the waiting room, and I was in shock. If you've ever been in shock in an accident, I have too many times taken those ambulance rides where you're strapped in the gurney and you're just shivering cold. And that's how I was in the waiting room. I was just shivering with fear and cold that after what he just said, because the fact that he was crying when he was telling us what was about to happen really scared us. Like, she might not make it out of this. And I'm shaking now. And there was a full open heart surgery that she was going to have, full chest opening. And it was supposed to take 5 hours. They had her on the table, all prepped. They had the intubated tube. They had the nerve block, ready to make that first cut. And they, just as a part of protocol, is to go in one more time with the esophageal ultrasound and take a look at the target. And they did. And the doctor comes running out to the waiting room. He comes running out, excitedly, was, and says, "Your sister's fine. There's nothing wrong." Her heart valve that they were going to replace, her heart valve to the mitral valve, was fine. The blood clot was gone. He says, I've never seen this before, ever. He said, not in 30 years. He said, we've never seen this, and we've never had to stop one of these surgeries at this point. And it's thank God they didn't open her up, because she'd still be in recovery today. But she was completely healed by your prayers. By your prayers.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And I believe God didn't heal Ann for Ann only.
Oh, no.
He healed Ann for us, for all of us, to show you that he's still here. He's real. And please don't stop praying for everybody and for each other. God is good.
Yes. I give him all the glory, all the glory.
How long were you supposed to be in recovery for? Was it like 6 months or something crazy like that?
Open heart surgery is probably 6 months. Yeah.
But the doctors, and it's cool to see just how that testimony reverberated throughout the entire hospital of what God did. And so we just felt it necessary that we wanted you guys to know about this, but the Lord just put it on our heart to say, who needs God to touch in their life? You know, and we didn't always understand why he heals one and heals the other, but what we know is he still is here and we can still ask.
He's still here and we can still ask. You know, when we got the news that my aunt had this episode, the days just dragged on and on and on, and we didn't have any answers. And then it seemed like the news just kept getting worse. And finally, like, came the day that she had to go to surgery. My wife went to the hospital and was there. The text messages are flying. Prayers flying too. And then we just waited. We just waited to find out what would happen. And as you heard, the surgery was supposed to last like 5 hours. But then something happened. We get a message that, like, way premature, that a miracle has happened. The doctors were freaking out. I mean, literally speechless. You heard over 30 years, they'd never seen anything like this. And they could only attribute it to the hand of God. My Aunt Annie is a rock in this family. My grandparents are gone. My mother is gone. We have few matriarchs that we can look up to. And my Aunt Annie is rock solid for Christ. And if there's anyone deserving of a miracle, it's her. And God came through for her and her family on that day. And it was so, so beautiful to witness that the doctors shocked. Absolutely shocked. So if you ever wanted proof, if you're one of those folks that says, show me, well, there it is. There's your proof. Look at my Aunt Annie in the flesh. She said before surgery, God, let your will be done. This body is yours. It was a gift. Do with it as you will. She surrendered completely, and that's what we have to do. We have to surrender to the will of God. He died on the cross for us so that we could have eternal life. He shed his own blood so we could live with him forever. And that same blood is what healed my aunt and can heal you, heal your heart. And I mean, there's miracles happening all over this world. And I'm so thankful that this video was published this weekend, that I could share it with you. Of course, the testimony that you heard is now public. But this is the testimony that was shared within our family circle. And I'm so thankful I get to share this with you guys. And I wanted to share A couple other miracles that we tracked, if you remember, that Catholic church shooting. Young girl, Sophia Forches, now welcomed back by her classmates after making a miraculous recovery. The Catholic church shooting. God healing her. Even on Fox and Friends. All the prayers she had in Minneapolis played an enormous role because people don't survive like this. Dr. Mark Siegel credits God for the miraculous recovery of the Minneapolis church shooting victim who is now out of the hospital.
Ended up in rehab. All the prayers she had in Minneapolis played an enormous role because people don't survive like this with a bullet lodged in her brain, tremendous brain swelling. She was in the hospital for weeks. They ended up doing surgeries, but not removing the bullet because it would have made it worse. She ended up waking up. She ended up in rehab. They're working on her speech, and you saw in the setup, she's walking out of the hospital. That's a medical miracle.
And I remember, seeing her father online saying, it's day 5. Please pray for her. Please pray for her. I mean, they were completely surrendered to this was in God's hands, and they were calling out for prayers, and they got them.
Because God gives the miracles that he wants to give, and the prayer, constant prayer from all over the country. People were praying, people were giving funding, people in Minneapolis. God answered these prayers, and it's very often that he does. We all have miracles where God is answering us.
My family is living testimony to that. Even Victor David Hansen talking about John Fetterman of all things. Talk about miracles. He says he's very astute. I don't know what happened to him. He had a terrible stroke. And then he had a debate with Dr. Oz. He was like Joe Biden. And then he makes a miraculous recovery. And in that recovery, he says some new neurons were reconnected, and as a result, he's changed from a hard leftist to a centrist.
He's very astute. I don't know what happened to him. He had a terrible stroke. And remember that debate with Dr. Oz? He was unable. It was like Joe Biden. And he made a miraculous recovery. And in that recovery, some new neurons were reignited. They were reconnected, and the result was he changed from kind of a hard leftist to a centrist. He's very astute.
So even miracles can happen with Democrats. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. I've covered corruption, exposed lies, and fought the deep state for years, but watching my Aunt Annie's miracle unfold reminded me why we really do this work. When that surgeon ran out crying, saying the clot had vanished, I was overjoyed. Our family praised God. The entire cardiac unit witnessed something that they could not explain. 30 years of medicine, and the doctor had never seen anything like it. My aunt told him before surgery that her body belonged to God, and God showed up. So while we fight political battles and expose government evil, sometimes heaven breaks through to remind us who's really in charge. This miracle didn't just save my aunt, it strengthened our entire family's faith. So let's have a conversation in the comments. Now here's a question. Have you witnessed a miracle? Changed your life? Share it below. Let's remind each other that hope is real. You can support our mission here. Visit our merch shop, link in the description.